the car, someone's driving it, someone's on top of the car, there's other cars and motorbikes, ATVs and so on flying around and smashing into each other. It's a nerve-wracking experience.
We spent months perfecting this and kind of putting all the pieces together and building this sequence shot by shot, piece by piece, moment by moment.
Today I'm going to be taking you through a scene in Extraction 2, shot by shot, so buckle up. In order for all of this to work, this 22-minute sequence, it's not obviously one take. There's a lot of wipes. The trained eye might be able to pick where these handoffs are happening. I can't most of the time. Sam's going to articulate all this a lot better than I am.
You just have to find like what lines up the most, what's the least amount of work for them to roto, or it's just finding that right moment where you catch gold. And so it was just me handing it off to myself in another shot. So now I'm in the car, and this is like a contortionist ballet. I'm all over the place. I'm falling down, banging my head, I jam my finger, but it lends to the chaos of the sequence. Now I'm moving backwards, shimmying so I can get a close-up of Chris, and then start to push the camera out of the car.
I see the camera's been handed out the window there.
So I'm reaching inside, I pull it out, I have to grab it, so now I'm operating with my arms crossed. But I kept the car in frame for the crash.
And there was a guy in that car. This guy's built from something pretty special.
The original intention was for the car to hit the pipes and then flip over. But for whatever reason, the driver hit the button a little too early and landed on top of the pipes, and they scattered in a much more exciting visual display. So we went in and talked with visual effects. Can we put something in there? And so we added the K-rail to the shot to cause it to flip like that and then land on the pipes. And it came out pretty cool in the final product. Those are real practical effects. Our special effects team was great. They did real explosions there, and so we wanted to get as close as possible, and it gets hot when you get that close.
These men are killers.
Yeah, so am I. Yeah, we actually came back and shot this a few different times just to add in a little more interaction, a little more dialogue between the characters, because you need to keep giving it context. And no matter how cool and exciting the action can be, you've got to keep bringing it back to, or grounding it with, who's the character you're watching? What's his relationship to this? What are the stakes here beyond what you're seeing? We've got real riders there. And see ya. Goodbye. Boom. You have these two motorbikes on tracks being towed behind that vehicle, and then someone actually drive into those bikes.
Now, there's a moment, if you look really closely, where not a lot of people ride the motorcycle like that, and it gets a little shaky, but we had two bikes and two dummies on them. I just love throwing in things like that. It's a throwback to me from, Jim Henson to the westerns of the 50s and 60s where dummies falling off of cliffs. It's just such a old school way of doing something like this.
Bravo team, with two bikes out, get ready for exfil.
I really wanted to see Chris Hemsworth as the car flips over. Way to execute that was, with blue screen to keep it safe for Chris, and then when that explosion happens and the car starts to tip, we had a hydraulic lift on the car, so it starts to tip on the blue screen, and then during that motion, we stitch to practical location, practical stunt driver actually flipping the car over.
I was standing on the side of the set watching this, and he got out, shook it off, thumbs up, and on we went.
Girls hurt, we gotta move!
A real firebomb going off and a real car flipping with our actors.
Both those actors had to move at the right time in order for not to get squashed themselves.
Adam Bessa and Gulshifta Farahani right there near 10 feet from that explosion.
I think we must have done about 20 takes through here, and I'm carrying the little girl.
Chris is like, I don't want to run anymore. I'm like, I'm running with you, man. I'm right there with you.
This was the most painful sequence, funny enough, out of all the things I'd done. It's just running with her.
And then I knew at the end of this, Chris was like, just get me on that train. Because the train was so complicated, so intricate, we rehearsed for 3 weeks on location with everyone, 3 weeks of rehearsal, and then we rolled right into the first day of shooting, so we started with the train sequence, actually.
We shot a lot of this in a studio, little pieces, and then we're actually on a real train now, on a separate location, separate day.
So this was shot many weeks, maybe months later. The continuity has to be so spot on, like his hair has to be the same, the costume has to be the same, the blood, all this stuff has to be, because it's from an instant in the movie, but a month apart in time. It's mind-blowing movie magic. This is all practical. We're moving at 30, 40 miles an hour down the track. We've got a chopper just chasing us. We've got big guns.
And I'm getting cues just off camera saying, okay, now. So I walk back out here, roll up the door, and there's the helicopter waiting. And then we have squibs on the deck there, so all those things were exploding. They're little timed charges.
But he's firing blanks. You got a real helicopter. You know, these missiles are digitally added, but we did have special effects doing some explosions at the back to, you know, to mimic that.
Now it becomes a CG takeover into the explosion. We couldn't afford to crash 53 helicopters in the ground.
This is where it gets really wild.
You know, you're trained here, moving at speed, real helicopter, landing on a train, and none of those guys are harnessed in.
There's 5 stunt performers and para-rescues hopping off of this helicopter.
If one of them falls off the edge at this point, they're dead. You know, this is a pretty risky sequence.
At this moment, I'm close enough to reach out and touch these guys. Part of the reason that I put myself in those spots is because I've been in some tough spots before in my career with stunts, and there's kind of an innate body awareness that you really only get having been in those kind of situations. You know, we got just an incredible shot.
And this is all part of the elaborate orchestration that Sam Hargrave's put together. It's pretty cool.
Thank you for going through this sequence with me, shot by shot.
Now check out Extraction 2, only on Netflix.